Welcome to the Everyone's a Critic movie review podcast. I'm your co-host, Bob Zerl.
I mean, who wants to have sex with a guy named Bob?
Oh, Bob. Just doesn't sound right. Oh, Bob.
Bob. Oh, Bob.
Oh, Bob.
Bob. Bob. With me, as always, is professional film critic Sean Patrick.
I am too smart. I am too smart. S-M-R-T. I mean S-M-A-R-T.
And Josh Adams.
You goddamn communist heathen, you had best sound off that you love the Virgin Mary, or I'm gonna stomp your guts out. Now, you do love the Virgin Mary, don't you?
Visit us at ihatecritics.net. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our Twitter and Instagram handle is CriticsPod. Like us there, friend us, join, or whatever you do on those sites. Our top fives are there, our trailers, our news, interactions, the 88 movies, most importantly. Josh puts a lot of effort into that. I don't know, maybe you don't think you do, but I know
it is. It's effortful, but it is so joyous being able to discover what it is that we're going to be watching as 30-year-old movies, you know? So I don't consider it work at all. It's like opening up Christmas presents.
It is a lot of fun, and again, people have asked a lot about why we do that 30 years, because it's good to revisit sometimes. We do it because 30 years is a good range of time for us. We're each, you guys are in your late 30s, I'm in my early 40s, and that 30-year time frame from being children to being adults, and the way you change the way you look at movies.
And we're about to walk into that prime, our teenage years.
Yeah.
Or you're kind of getting close to already there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were talking about, I remember when we wrote for Zoiks, I don't know if you did it or not, but you were definitely flirting with the idea of doing 30-year-old movie reviews.
I had actually
then.
Like a Facebook page, and I wrote a few reviews then of, this was back in, I don't know, this was back when it was 84, 85, I think. And I did write reviews of them back then.
So it's from before the show.
Yeah.
This week, what else? iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify. No matter where you listen to us, if you go to iTunes or Apple Podcasts and subscribe to the show, rate and review the show, we'll read your review on the air. I still think that matters, but there seems to be more and more places to listen to the show, which is a good thing. What else? Patreon, the most important thing. ihatecritics.net/Patreon. Finally got Josh's movie pass back after my credit card expired. But ihatecritics.net/Patreon is the best place to support the podcast. There will be bonus shows. There'll be, merchandise, all sorts of things that we don't always follow through on, but I'm working on it. It's been busy. All right, let's get to our one trailer that I posted, the Halloween, the new one. What are your thoughts? Get any better?
No, not really. I just don't. I can't get invested anymore in this Michael Myers stuff, and I don't particularly care for this direction that they're going in with it, and it still feels the same to me as it ever did.
I still don't understand the logistics of this. It's the weirdest thing in the world to know that an actress was in a movie that was a sequel, but they're ignoring all of the sequels to do a movie that's titled the same as the first one. It would probably help me in some very awful way if the Cubs would stop throwing wild pitches, for Christ's sake.
We're going to turn this off if you keep that up.
I know, I apologize, but we're just watching the Cubs suck. But anyways, the whole idea of this, it would help if they just named it something different. Halloween 2 or the next Halloween night, or whatever the case may be. I don't know, because the trailer doesn't seem like it's any different than the first movie, really. It's just that one character kind of knows what's going on. She's taking the Donald Pleasance role in a way. Okay, the movie can prove something to me, and I'll be happy with it if it's good. But as of right now, I'm just kind of like rehashing of marketing.
Right, putting her in the. Go ahead.
Okay. No, you had a point.
I was gonna say putting her in the Donald Pleasance role doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Why she just sat on this for this many years? 40 years, whatever it's been, and so that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. There's a little bit of, if they kind of go like the unreliable narrator route. I could see it possibly, surprising us and being pretty neat if, like, maybe Michael Myers is never even there and she's just fucking crazy.
All right.
That would be kind of cool.
I mean, David Gordon Green maybe could pull something off like that. He's an interesting enough director to pull something weird. So I see where you're going with that.
I don't get that from the trailer. I'm just saying
I don't
it'd
either.
be cool if they did.
I don't think they have the nerve, and I don't think the studio would allow them to, frankly. I think the studio's like, Michael Myers has to be real. He's got to be there for the marketing campaigns and all that shit. To Josh's point, though, I think maybe they should have called the movie Laurie Strode as opposed to Halloween. I mean, maybe name it after her. If you're going to put that much focus on it, people know the character well enough. They'll recognize Jamie Lee Curtis, and it takes the pressure off of having to recreate Michael Myers again.
Right. But really, no matter what they do, though, her character was in the second one, and they're pretending that she wasn't.
Absolutely.
I don't really care about that so much. I care about just that it just doesn't feel original, and I think the slasher genre especially doesn't feel original anymore. Especially we're in the age of The Conjuring. Whether you like the Conjuring movies or not, that's the age we're in, and the slasher is not timely anymore. And I can't imagine a way to make them timely anymore.
I would be okay with it if the slasher made a comeback and stopped all of these ghost films, though. The dick ghost movies, so to speak. Not ghosts with dicks, but, dick ghost films. I could get down with that.
I mean, I don't like either one.
Fair enough.
Unless it's the Saw franchise.
Yeah, I mean, Strangers was good, but it was so low budget and not, it didn't reinvent anything. That was still 10, 12 years ago, so it doesn't even really count. Yeah, I'm with you.
The first reactions are in, though, and they are quite positive based on what I read today. Take that with a grain of salt, I suppose. Who did they screen it in front of? All that good stuff. It could be one of those, James Cameron says the next Terminator movie's great. That kind of crap. But,
I mean, they could have, if they screened it for the Fangoria crowd, they're probably just going to cheer no matter what,
Yeah, they usually say good things about things.
The horror media that is out there, they're pretty much sycophants. Not to knock them too much, sorry, but they come off as sycophants because their name is on literally everything horror, regardless of whether it's good or not.
Well, no, my brother used to do a podcast with one of the guys that wrote with Fangoria, and who thought his movie was amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
Top 10 movie of the year. Oddly enough, hated Rosemary's Baby and The Exorcist. So, I mean,
that was not me. I didn't do that.
No. But, I mean, come on.
Funny, the genre's attempt at art comes across flat for them.
But speaking of horror movies, The Nun came out and it killed at the box office this week.
Well, was it 52 million?
Yeah, I thought it was almost
I saw
60.
over 100.
That was worldwide.
Worldwide, okay.
Those are the worldwide numbers. 52 million, I believe, is the number for the U.S. this weekend, and over 100 million worldwide. This is a rare success of a worldwide number, and I think give it up for Demian Bashir. He's popular in other countries. But The Nun is the continuation of the character from The Conjuring that was pretty much central to that film's marketing, even though she wasn't necessarily central to the plot. That character showed up a lot in the way that they marketed Conjuring 2. And I was never a fan. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the Conjuring movies, and I'm not a fan of this. We're once again into that situation where these characters have zero motivation, and the character, in terms of when I speak of characters, I'm speaking of the ghosts, demons. I'm sorry, it's a demon. I think I'm not sure. Ghost, demon, whatever it is, demon probably. I guess they have to try and exorcise it, so I'm assuming it must be a demon. There's a lot of religious. Yeah, it's demon. Okay, fine.
Exercise sucks.
You have to exorcise a demon. Exorcise.
Oh, we can't just put a treadmill in the house?
Exorcise. I'm not wrong on my word choice, is all I'm saying.
No, I know.
Exercise still sucks, regardless.
Yeah, that's all I was saying.
Basically, Demian Bashir and Thaisa Farmiga are a priest and a nun who travel to this abbey in the middle of Romania that has seen a couple of deaths. One of the nuns committed suicide, and that's a pretty big deal in the Catholic Church, so they want to investigate it. They arrive and they find all sorts of weirdness in this abbey. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. The body, for one thing, it has sat up after death, which is a tad disturbing. Nevertheless, they go ahead and they continue their investigation, which I would have not done. But that's just me. If the corpse had sat up and found a new position while I was gone, I would not have continued. Probably would have stopped right there. But they decided to go forward. Anyway, the demon starts screwing with them and blah blah blah. This is about a jump. This is another jump scare machine. This is about stuff jumping out of places. You know, you're walking down a dark hallway and the music kind of. It's just this jump thing, and then something will move out of nowhere and knock somebody into a wall and then go away. I just want to know what the nun is after. What is the nun's purpose? They say something about the nun wanting to take corporeal form, like take a human form. For what purpose? I mean, why? You're okay, so now you're a nun. What do you do now? You have life again. Are you going to start killing people? What are you doing?
You're not having sex. So I'm kind of with you. What is the purpose of coming back?
I genuinely have this question. I want to know what the nun's motivation is. World domination? What is it? What are they trying to do?
Box office success. I'm pretty sure that's all it was.
Maybe. I mean, you're ascribing a motivation there that is purely cynical, and I understand the point. I'm still trying to stick with the film, and I would like the film to tell me what the motivation is supposed to be, and it doesn't. It doesn't. At one point, the demon turns on the radio. Just turns on the radio.
Who was on?
I don't know. Some kind of old-style music from Romania. The point was it just flipped on the radio. And then at another point, it buries a character alive, but doesn't kill him. He's buried alive, but he's got one of those bells that you can ring to tell people that you're down in a grave, which is an old thing they used to do back in the day, so to prevent people from being buried alive. Why? Why did the ghost do this, or demon do this? So what was the point? Just kill him. Well, if your point is to kill them, just kill them. The ghost doesn't, the demon doesn't bother trying to kill anybody. So what is the point? What is your purpose here? Why are we going through this? I don't understand it, and it bothers me. And I just want to have him. I just want a character to have a motivation of some sort. That's all. Is that too much to ask?
It's not, and in fact, a movie called The Nun, you would think you would find the origins of where the nun came from and what the actual motivation would be for why we see the nun in that second Conjuring film. Does it have any relation to the Annabelle movies at all? Because that's involved too, right?
Right, they're part of the same universe, but there's separate demons, two different demons.
Oh my god. Dual demon action.
I mean, here's kind of the only thing I can, having not seen it because I don't care. I like Conjuring 1, and I kind of like 2. I do not like Annabelle movies at all. And I kind of thought the nun would be more in that realm than the Conjuring realm. But the people do believe in this crap, and they believe in it for things like the radio turned on or the TV turned off or the sound, just some stupid shit that's clearly electronic, that can easily be explained. But people really do buy into this stuff, and they believe it. And since it's real in their world, there's no motivation there either because it's so random. So I think that's kind of what you just got to accept with ghost movies.
So the motivation is boredom. Boredom for the living. We are solving your boredom. We have come to make entertainment.
We haven't had that movie, at least enough of them that Sean wants to write, where we follow the ghost around. We follow from the human point of view. We need more from the ghost point of view. More Casper movies.
I'll take it. It's artful, and it's a great-looking movie.
Really?
Yeah, the cinematography is pretty great, and Demi Bashir and Taissa Farmiga are both very invested in their performances. So, I mean, I don't completely hate this movie, but at the same time, I'm just annoyed. Why are the demons just dicks? Just what are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish here? What do you get from this? Is it just boredom?
It's the unreliable narrator again. But the narrator is the audience. I don't know.
Is Taissa Farmiga, you said? Would that be Vera's daughter then?
I don't know how they're related.
Okay.
I thought they were sisters.
They look alike, so they got to be related somehow, but yeah.
I think they're sisters, actually, if I understand it correctly.
Okay.
But their characters are not related in the movie universe. Which actually does get a little confusing at the end, because I wasn't sure if they intended it to be Thaisa in the scene or Vera, because they do look a lot alike, and it's a very quick shot. I wasn't sure exactly if I was supposed to be seeing one or the other, honestly.
Yeah, and that's the confusing part. I was hoping that this movie, and not that I was like super pumped to go see it or anything, I didn't see it, but the thought would be that they would explain somehow why in The Conjuring 2 she keeps having these visions of the nun. And the scariest parts of that movie are involving the nun kind of being creepy in the other side of the room.
That was explained in that movie. That was the idea, is that that her character in The Conjuring, Vera Farmiga's character, has an intuition, an ability to see ghosts, in kind of the same way that the lady from Insidious can. So she sees ghosts, and she sees this particular ghost that is related to the Patrick Wilson character. It's been stalking him for years. So it's him who's had this, but he's never been able to see it. She can see it and is trying to stop it.
But he ain't afraid of no ghosts, so that's why they go after it. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
I love how we're trying so hard not to say the Warrens.
I had forgotten that last name.
Because then I have to say,
but he wouldn't say it.
Then I have to say fuck the Warrens, and I don't. Well, I'm trying to curse less.
It's okay.
I hate those con artists.
But I love the people that buy into it. No, with my whole haunted house that I live in now, that not really had a little dog thing that was weird. But again, weird acoustics, not a big deal. Mm-hmm. But the people that buy into this crap are ridiculous. Like grown adults that...
I was telling a story on the radio the other day about a woman from England who had gone on a vacation to Australia, and she'd met a ghost while she was there and brought the ghost back with her from Australia to England, so the two of them could get married because she wanted to have the ghost's baby. And I just was telling people on the air, if you believe in ghosts, she's on your side. The lady who thinks she's going to have the ghost baby, that's on your side. Explain that.
But by that same token, my parents, they know my wife thinks the house is haunted, and they're like, "Oh, it's not haunted," but they're big religious people. Like, well, you're on the same team. And it's the same kind of. If one's real, the other's real, and vice versa.
Well, in terms of silly hobbies, I still feel okay about toy collecting now compared to this.
I've had people trying to give me their ghost hunting equipment to run. I'm like, my house isn't haunted. That's fun.
Then the TV shuts off.
Well, one time we were recording and just the volume turned on. Oh my God. Maybe it is haunted, or my cables suck. One or the other.
The continuously flashing red light that no one can explain.
Well, that was kids. I don't know what they did. I can't explain how they did it, but that was kids. He's talking about my mixer.
Put your top five. Who's your top five?
Top 5 movie nuns. Our classic is related to the nun in that where it's The Sound of Music, but we will get to that later. I will start with Jason from New Mexico. He had number 5, The Omen, 4, Lilies of the Field, 3, Cannonball Run, 2. Number 2, Two Mules for Sister Sarah, and number 1, Johnny Dangerously. Cousin Jeff said, assuming you guys are reading these on the show.
Oh!
Because what did he have? What was last week?
It was last week with John Cusack, and we just had dozens
he had
of
jokes.
responses.
He had, what movie did he have?
He did a joke one, but he also did a real one, too, after that.
Well, I think he wanted us to read the joke one.
I made him do a real one.
What was the movie he hit on there 3 times? I can't remember.
Oh, gosh. Was it 2012? No, I don't remember.
It might have been 2012.
Yeah.
Was it 2012? Okay. I hate 2012.
We know. So we'll skip over Jeff's. Beth had...
He's going to pull his Patreon now.
She had Sister Act through Sound of Music. Uncle Jeff had Pee Wee Herman from Pee Wee's Big Adventure. For 4, Susan Sarandon, Dead Man Walking. 3, Amy Adams, Doubt. 2, Meg Tilly, Agnes of God. Number 1, Meryl Streep from Doubt. Duh. Okay, Jeff had Christina Rains, cousin Jeff from The Sentinel. Irene Daly, The Amityville Horror. Kathy Najimy from Sister Act. Lion Chauvin from Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Carrie Fisher from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Josh, would you like to read yours?
Yeah, there's a lot of silence going on in this category this week, mainly because I haven't seen a lot of movies with nuns. I find it interesting that Agnes of God was brought up. That's a movie I actually tried to watch a few years ago when it turned 30, and the copy that I had just would not play. Like, it was malfunctioning quite a bit. Otherwise, I would have watched that one. I probably wouldn't have liked it, though. The only nun that I can think of that I really like is Susan Sarandon's Helen Prejean in Dead Man Walking.
All right, I had, for number 5, I haven't seen this movie, but I think I'll like it, so I just put Sister Jean from Ken Russell's The Devils. I don't know if you know much about that movie, but
no. But Ken Russell, I've heard that
pretty
name.
sure it's like an orgy nun thing with the priest or something weird. Number 4, Susan Sarandon from Dead Man Walking. 3, Meryl Streep from Doubt. 2, Amy Adams from Doubt, just to spite Uncle Jeff. And then number 1, Carrie Fisher playing the Harry Bush nun from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
I'll go with you on that Carrie Fisher one. And Amy Adams and Meryl Streep are both incredible. Julie Andrews in The Sound of Music, and really all the nuns in Sound of Music. And then my number 1 is Ingrid Bergman in The Bells of St. Mary's, which is a wonderful film.
All right. Peppermint,
yes. This is Jennifer Garner returning to the action genres for the first time, I think, since Elektra, and before that, Alias. She's a mom who witnesses the murder of her daughter and husband. The husband had made the mistake of getting on the bad side of some drug dealers, even though he didn't actually do anything. He nevertheless found his way onto their bad side, and he ends up getting killed along with their daughter, who's about 6 years old, so it's really sad. She goes away for 5 years. She just disappears, and when she comes back, she's a super badass assassin who decides she's going to take down an entire cartel on her own. This is directed by
Pierre
Morel, thank you, who directed Taken. And he's not a bad director, but he's a bad director here. Because I like Taken. I think Taken's pretty great. I thought it was a terrific action movie. He can't seem to replicate that here. He's going too fast now. Everything is so fast. And it's not like he's trying to cover up for Liam Neeson being old and slow. He's got somebody who can actually handle this stuff, and he's still trying to hide it, which maybe she can't handle it anymore. I don't know. Maybe that's what he's trying to do, is cover it up. She seems pretty physically fit, like she could handle it, like she's having a good action scene. But he can't stop his camera from bouncing around every place in the world every 2 seconds, and the camera's constantly moving, and you can't see any of the action happening. Or then he'll go into slow-mo for no good reason. His direction is just all over the place, and it makes the movie pretty much unwatchable. On top of the terrible politics of the movie, which is just all the Mexican guys. It's like a right-wing dream. It's like all the Mexican guys are just gang members, and there's this one vengeful white woman who's taking them all out. So that's a bad idea in this day and age, I would say. I would say you're kind of on the wrong side of that one right now. Perhaps don't release this movie at this moment. We're kind of in a moment here where
right now
looking at this movie, just kind of, no, don't do that.
Well, right now it's like, it's not really 50-50, but social media-wise it feels 50-50. So hopefully in like 5 years we should be able to release this movie.
Mostly my problem is not that stuff is kind of minimal for the most part. You bring that to the movie as opposed to the movie itself. The movie's just poorly directed. It just really is just poorly directed. It begins with a scene in today, and then it cuts back to 5 years earlier when she's not when she's just a mom and a wife, and then cuts back to today, and it's like, why'd you do that? There's absolutely no point to it. No point whatsoever to having done it that way. It plays no role whatsoever in the way the movie plays out. He could have started the movie in a perfectly linear fashion and played the whole thing in a linear, straight-ahead fashion, and he just chooses to do this for reasons. Because it's a bad movie. It's a poorly put together film. And this is an example of really poor direction.
So he took one bad decision and it really mushroomed out. Pierre Morel.
Boo! Boo!
Yes! Thank you. I waited until you were finished. I just...
Yeah, I mean, that's a shame, because I wanted to see this movie only to be like, this is better than Taken, just to be a dick. Because, like you were saying, she's more believable in this role than Liam Neeson is. Mm-hmm. And this is really, I'm just being silly with that anyway, but still, it's cooler to see, you'd rather see this work with a female lead, especially someone who hasn't been a lead in a long time. And then, I mean, hopefully it's profitable. It's kind of right there in the middle. Probably will be when all is said and done. But still, I don't know. I'd like to see her get more, not just her, but other women get shots like this and not have them not do it because they're not Denzel Washington or Liam Neeson.
Right. I'm inclined to like something like this because my favorite film character is a female action hero that kind of gets revenge in essence in certain parts. And so I'm inclined to appreciate the woman getting revenge over a standard male shoot 'em up at any point. Because there's just something about the motherly instinct that somehow seems to hit harder for me emotionally in a story. But it's a bummer that you're saying that it's got that kind of editing style or whatnot, because she just seems like she's better than that. Like she really could make good action films, But you mentioned Elektra already. That's just such a massive bummer. And I've seen a couple of episodes of Alias as well, and that's a fine enough show. She was believable in it too.
It sounds like, based on what Sean's saying, it's like a band that just starts playing too fast, and it just kind of sounds like shit when they're playing live.
Yeah, that's kind of it. That's a good metaphor.
Darn. That sucks. All right. God bless the broken road.
Speaking of bad, good Lord, is this movie bad. You want to talk about bad directors? Let's talk about this guy, I think his name is Barry Cronk. He is really a very bad director. He was the director of God's Not Dead 1 and 2, and there's a reason why God's Not Dead 3 is so vastly superior to parts 1 and 2, because it feels like a real movie with actual characters.
And they don't make you text in the middle of it?
Right, exactly. There's no text messaging involved in this. This is so terrible. The story begins, we're introduced to a race car driver who is he's a block of wooden cheese, this guy. If you imagine, I eat. If you would imagine just that level of charisma in an actor, that's what you're getting. He's there. He's been sent back to the minors, as they're saying it, because he was a NASCAR guy who kept getting in accidents. Which, how he ever made it to NASCAR without knowing how to slow down in a corner, I have no idea. But apparently, that's the story they're going with.
The Happy Gilmore route.
So they get sent down to go to the minors. Essentially, he's in the lower level of racing, and he's got to
don't have to turn.
He's got to learn how to drive properly. But then it shifts completely because it's not his story at all. It's the story of a woman whose husband had been killed in Afghanistan, and her trying to recover from that, and her possibly losing her house, and her possibly losing her daughter to Kim Delaney as her mother-in-law. And her just this Jobian story of everything just getting dropped on her. Her husband dies. They're taking her house from her. Her kid hates her. Her kid wants to leave. The grandma comes in and wants to take the kid. And her boss at her work hates her. And and of course everybody's shaming her because she doesn't go to church. Because guess what? She goes to work so she can try and pay for her fucking house. What a horrible person. She's trying to keep her house. So she works extra shifts, and she can't be in church. But these jerks actually put a camera right on that empty spot in the church pew next to the kid, and they have the kid just sort of sad and look down at that empty space next to her where her mom isn't. Because she's working to try and save your house, you little brat! Stupid movie.
Stuff's not important, man.
I was so mad. I was so mad. But I could get even angrier because I've tried to avoid this in my written review because I was about to pound my fingers through the keyboard. I was so angry. It's the way that they use the military in this movie for such, unimaginably cheap sentimentality that they use. And they really abuse it in this movie. And I know a lot of movies have abused the sentimentality of our military over the years. This is the biggest, most disgusting example of that. I was so angry at the end of this movie because of this. It's just the worst, most exploitative way to use our military, and I just hated it so much. And I hate this movie. This is one of the worst of the year.
Did you purposely put in your review that the story shifts because he was a driver? I thought maybe you did that on purpose.
You were on fire.
Following it. Did his car catch on fire?
Literally, you should be on fire at this point.
There's you guys may be familiar with some country music at least. There's a Rascal Flatts song with this title. I would imagine that it's in the movie. Yeah, okay. I once did that in karaoke because somebody said that they would join me. I mean, I'm not too bad at it because, they're...
So what woman were you trying to impress?
I was already dating her, but I was just like, I know that if I do this, I might... anyways, let's move on.
That's the only reason anyone's ever done karaoke.
No. Well, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just thinking about ghosts with dicks. Trying to think of how to work that in there, and I can't. So I'm just going to say it.
When ghosts climax, they have a phantasm.
Oh, my God. All right, bye, Josh.
Turn my mic off.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event for the linear, legitimate, and universally recognized Undisputed Classic.
All right, The Sound of Music, Undisputed Classic this week.
Yes, The Sound of Music, 1965, a Best Picture winner or nominee?
Winner.
Starring Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer. The story of a woman who was a nun. She gets sent to become a caretaker for the children of a military man played by Christopher Plummer, and she comes to change everybody's lives, kind of like a Mary Poppins, but in World War II time. The idea is well executed. I was supposed to hate this movie, wasn't I? I went into this knowing that I hate The Sound of Music, and then I'm watching it, and in my head I just start singing along with it, and I couldn't. I found this 3-hour thing fucking irresistible, and I hate myself so much right now. You have no idea. But I sat there and I watched it, and I learned all the words to doe a deer, and I was in love.
Sorry, my testicles just ascended back up into my
Good,
abdomen.
I'm glad. You deserve it. Let me say more.
Now he has a ghost dick.
This movie was really shockingly entertaining, and I gotta say, when Christopher Plummer grabs that Nazi flag and just rips it in half, I was like, yeah! I got a little pumped up, I did. And the songs are really good. It's Rodgers and Hammerstein. I don't know why I'm so surprised by that. They're incredible. I really liked it. I really liked it a lot. I feel bad that I like it because it's so simple. It is the most simple way. I mean, she literally teaches you how to sing a song in the movie. I mean, she literally it's a very simple, very simplistic song structure, but it's so damn entertaining. And she's lovely. She's just lovely. And I was enjoying, when they launch into how do you solve a problem like Maria, I was right there with them. I was into it. I got into the song. I was in it. I'm embarrassed to say it, but I did enjoy this movie a great deal.
Kind of picturing Sean dancing in his living room.
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, well, the merits of it are that it is sweet and simple and made well, and song structure wise. Like it's definitely something that I remember, despite the fact that I dislike it. It certainly has stuck with me over time, and I've watched it 3 times in my life. This week was not one of them, because budgeting out the 3 hours to watch a movie that I knew for sure that I disliked was it both. I regret and also don't regret it. I know how I feel about this movie. I get why people like it too, but there's something so ingratiating about the songs. I can't listen to somebody say out loud, doe, a deer, a female deer. Oh, is it? Is a fucking female deer? Of course it is. It's a doe. Shut up, you bastards. Just go back to your...
It's teaching a child how to do scales. And that's what the song is about. I mean, whether you like it or not, I mean, it's a perfectly fine lyric to teach a child how to sing a song.
Absolutely, I just don't have to see a movie about it. You know, like there's if there's anything that I enjoy about it, other than understanding the nature of why people like it, it's the
Nazis.
The cinematography of this is pretty fantastic, and especially in the famous scene in the film in which she's twirling her hands and whatnot and singing "The Hills Are Alive" and blah 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 blah. It's a really pretty film. Now, if you've ever seen it like remastered and whatnot, I'm sure that anyone that would have watched it this week, yourself included, we're talking about high definition video and everything like that. All 3 times that I saw it, it was this like THX mastered special edition or whatnot, and the latest technology at the time. So I wasn't experiencing like an old VHS copy that wasn't up to snuff, you know. So at least I saw it in its full splendor at the time, and I can understand why it would win Best Picture. You know, there's some prestige behind it. And Julie Andrews is very engaging. But it's just annoying. And sometimes when I can't get into the music, despite its best intentions, I can't get into the movie at all. And being that this movie is so much music, I'm waiting for those moments where they'll shut the hell up for a moment and have some dialogue, because I want more of that in this movie. I want less music and more dialogue, more of a drama. And in a Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, I'm not going to get that. So it's like water and oil, you know, and that's not fair to the movie per se, but it's fair to me because I don't have to like that shit, and I don't. So I'm acknowledging both my strong points and my fault with this film.
Well, it's like how you feel about the Beatles. You know they're iconic, but you don't like them.
Yes,
but
and I acknowledge
Motown
the
came before
influence
them.
of Sound of Music on all other films that came after it. Yes, of course.
No, I'm kind of with you. I can recognize that it's a fantastic movie. It's an epic 3-hour, you know, musical. I don't like watching it. That's all. I'm not capable of. I'm also the guy that will never sing karaoke. I won't do anything even close to fun. So, so it's easy for me to sit there and just be like, and being wrong. That's fine, you know. But I'm with Josh. I don't want to hear a song about scales. I'd rather just hear the scales themselves.
Yeah, it involves this idea of musicals and when songs make sense. Okay, and even going to something like West Side Story, for example, where it obviously that's a big old musical and whatnot, but it almost kind of makes sense in the context. Even though I don't like that movie, you know, that one makes so much more sense than this one because it just isn't so weird. It's like I
gotta say, it makes perfect sense in context. She's teaching children how to sing a song.
No.
The context of it is she's teaching a child to sing a song.
Of
it
course.
makes perfect sense.
I'm hearing you on that. What I mean is, in everyday life, like I don't come up to you and say, "Sean, I hate this fucking movie," you know, something like that.
Right.
I will come up to you and say, "Sean, I really hate this fucking movie." Okay. But in this case, they sing their feelings, and I've discussed this before, how I can't really get behind that. If you're singing a song that's like Moulin Rouge, for example, it's hard to compare, but it makes a little bit. They're using popular music to explain their feelings in that one, right? And so it's a little bit of a cheat. But that one to me, I like because, wow, that feeling makes sense. I understand why you use that song there because that's the kind of thing I would sing in that moment too if I was going to sing in everyday life. It's the awkwardness of it that throws me out of the movie. The context of it is cool yes, she's teaching him music. It's a movie about giving joy to a family and whatnot through music. I get that, but it's the awkwardness of it that I can just never wrap my head behind. And, I mean, gosh, I was married to a woman that their family adored this movie, okay? And they sat me down when I had only been with her for like 2-3 months at the time back in 1997. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, do I really want to go through with this? And of course I did, and that worked out. But we always had that like playful banter of, you're not going to make me watch The Sound of Music again, are you? And then they did.
Twice.
But
2 more times.
2 more times. And they've made my son watch it too, and he cannot stand this movie, which is, it's a bit of poetic justice because I never gave him my opinions about the movie until he saw it. And he's like, oh, I had to watch The Sound of Music. Oh, sorry, kid.
But in fairness to the movie, I'm saying I'm wrong, and I think Josh is kind of saying the same thing.
I know why.
You're not
it's
wrong
good.
for feeling the way you feel, but it's clearly a fantastic movie. It's just, here's how juvenile I am. I can't really watch a musical unless it's, perverted and stupid, like Book of Mormon or something like that. That's
Team America.
Team America. Those are the type of musicals I like.
I really didn't think I liked this movie when I sat down to watch it. And then I'm just trying. I'm on Twitter, just trying to ignore it. Like, okay, I'll just get through this. It's 3 hours. I'll just scroll Twitter and I'll find out. I'll make jokes and whatnot. And then I just kept looking up, and like, that's really cool. Okay, that song's really good. I like the metaphors in How to Solve a Problem Like Maria. Those are really clever. And then I was just kind of in it, and it never felt like 3 hours. It floated past me.
Yeah, maybe just because I had a busy weekend, but it felt like 3 hours to me. But again, and it's something I always wonder with critics is how do you, because clearly there's type of movies that people just don't like. I'm not a musical guy, never really have been. There's very few that I like. And, and then, the serendipity type movies, the romantic comedies, they're just not so it's hard for me to sit here and really give you a fair opinion other than it's not for me, kind of how, as a critic, how does, because there's definitely genres that you're less fond of than others, but how do you, I don't know.
How do you process that like a normal person as opposed to coming at it with preconceived
when you have that
intentions?
bias going in, what do you do about it? Just try to...
It's a case-by-case basis, really. The movie's got to win me over at that point. Because I don't necessarily think that preconceived notions are bad, like especially if they're based on evidence. Like if an ad campaign for a movie shows the worst qualities of it, you're going to make your decisions about it based on that, and the movie's going to have to overcome it.
No, I'm never going to convince him to like the Beatles. Come on, man.
I've tried so hard. So hard. Listen to everything I get my hands on multiple times. Listen to lovers tell me their stories of the Beatles, blah, blah, blah. Preconceived notions went into a movie like La La Land, though, where I knew that Emma Stone, Ryan Gosling weren't musicians per se, but, they were going to be singing a lot, okay? And that it was kind of jazzy music, and that's not really my thing either. But there was something about the marketing that made me say, let me give it a try. And the movie won me over almost instantly, and I kept enjoying it. And that was my favorite film of that year. So I understand that idea of preconceived notions, but the movie has to win you over. Horror isn't my favorite genre either, but if the movie is a really good movie, it can really hook me.
And I think another thing that hurts this is the test of time. It is I don't think my kids liked it either. It's not. It is an old movie, and with kind of cheesy songs from a different era. So that's another thing that this movie has to overcome is a lot of people's musical bias, and then being old.
a musical versus a show tune musical, or this is more show tuney, more of a Broadway style type of lyricism, which has its own cadence and rhythm and all that good stuff.
Which only works as you swear.
I also, I had to overcome a part of this that I didn't expect, which is that there was I don't know if it was like an ironic appreciation or what, but like hipsters, about the time that they put out the sing-along version, hipsters started taking to The Sound of Music and like adopting it in somewhat of a ironically earnest fashion, and it made me hate this movie that much more because I went to the sing-along Sound of Music, I don't know, it must have been 18, 19 years ago, and I went with a couple of hipsters, and they came in costume and they sang along perfectly earnestly, and I'm like, you don't actually like this. But they did that, and there were hundreds of them, and it was a packed house at not even a movie theater; it was an amphitheater that they were showing this at, and it was like they seemed to like earnestly enjoy it, but they're also hipsters, so you couldn't trust it.
When you say came in costume, like the hipster costume, or like
no,
like
Sound of Music costumes, like nuns, and they were wearing habits, and somebody wore a Nazi uniform, and it was awkward, but somebody had to play Rolf, you know?
It's true. So yeah, The Sound of Music.
Well, we've covered it now. We're done with it. I can legitimately say I don't think I ever have to watch this movie again.
Well, you didn't, so it
was definitely considered. It's in the watch list, all that good stuff. It was just a matter of separating that 3 hours of time, and
but I'd say seeing it 3 times in the last 20 years is pretty recent.
Indeed.
Number 18 in 1988. Squeezed and pulled and hurt my neck in 1988.
Squeezed and pulled and hurt your neck in 1988.
1988.
3 movies from 1988. One I'll get out of the way, called Some Girls. My interest level in it was that Jennifer Connelly was in it, and Patrick Dempsey is the star, though. I'll read the delightful little synopsis I have here from our show notes. Michael, a college student, visits his girlfriend Gabrielle and her family for Christmas in Canada. When he gets there, she tells him that she doesn't love him anymore. Wah, wah. It's available if you want to stream it. A movie I didn't get through, really wanted to watch, though, for whatever reason. I think it's because of my affinity for Raul Julia, is Moon Over Parador. Stars Richard Dreyfuss, and he's a little-known actor working on location in a country called Parador, which, as far as I know, doesn't exist. And at the time, he works in this country at the time the dictator dies. The dictator's right-hand man, played by Raul Julia, makes him an offer he can't refuse to play the dictator, and his acting skills fool the masses, but not the close friends and employees of the dictator. So it's like Dave, but in South America.
Yeah, it's clever, but it's way too broad, and the satire is not strong. They go for fart jokes, essentially. Like not that level, but like just that along the line, that type of broad humor, that as opposed to something more surgical and you would hope for from a movie like this.
That is unfortunate. One that I did watch, it's a Sidney Lumet film, and at this point, I've got to consider him one of my favorite all-time directors because Running on Empty, starring River Phoenix, Judd Hirsch, Christine Lottie, won me over. I really, really enjoyed this one. Hirsch and Lottie are husband and wife, and they are wanted criminals by the FBI. They've bombed a napalm factory during the time of Vietnam, and it injures someone that they didn't know was there. It's a terrorist act that they were trying to not hurt anybody with, but make a statement with. And they've been on the run for 16, 17 years now. Now, like all irresponsible criminals, they decide to have children while they're on the run. River Phoenix is one of them. There's another kid involved. And going from town to town to town to stay just one step ahead of the feds. This movie is about the period of time where these parents realize that they can't keep doing this to their children, specifically River Phoenix, who's super gifted and has developed an affinity for Martha Plimpton, who plays the daughter of a music instructor. River Phoenix wants to go to Juilliard, and Judd Hirsch and whatnot thinks that they should keep moving and that they should stay as a family, but they're so used to this odd, almost torturous situation that the kids pretty much have Stockholm syndrome, where they do whatever their parents need them to do, like dye their hair and have secret codes and whatnot. That's not a childhood, and I felt bad for the children in this. This movie takes each character's situation seriously, though, and like all Sidney Lumet films, it flows really well despite the serious subject matter. I was highly impressed by this. It's definitely one of the biggest surprises of 1988 for me.
It's a really great film, and River Phoenix is really great in it, and Judd Hirsch is such unique casting that really works as well. Because he's coming off of TV, and I think that hurt the perception of this film, even though he was a guy who was considered for an Academy Award for Ordinary People. I think the perception of him as a TV guy kind of held this movie back from getting the kind of recognition that it deserved as a really great movie that year. It's the River Phoenix. He seems to be dropping out of people's memories, and that's a shame. I think. And I'm not blaming his brother, but it's the fact that
fuck you, Joaquin.
But no, that's the fact that he's so well known now.
Right.
He's completely usurped that legacy, and I think people forget about River because of that.
Yeah, the few things that I've seen River in over the past few years, be it Mosquito Coast or a lesser film like Little Nikita, and this, he's really strong in all of them. And of all of the young actors and actresses that have been lost to whatever situation from the time that I was a child up until now, I rue his passing the most because he just had so much potential. You can see it in every scene that he's on the screen. He's got the right amount of awkward and mature at the same time.
Anything else from 88?
That's it this week.
Next week, as we watch the trailer on the TV between the Cup Game commercials, is The Predator. We also have A Simple Favor, I think White Boy Rick.
Yes.
And then we're actually, for whatever reason, getting a one screening only of Mandy, the Nicolas Cage weird movie that hopefully we get to bring to the show.
A little excited about that one. I've been hearing amazing things. But then, I heard amazing things about that Nicolas Cage goes to Afghanistan movie, and that one did not go anywhere, so who knows.
I do think the fact that they're actually bringing a Nicolas Cage movie to the theater for one night only might say something about the movie.
It's weird. Because movies, why not just put it out then?
Got a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Because it's going to bomb if it comes out. Because it's so weird.
I don't know, Neon Demon got a wide release. I don't understand why this can't. If you're going to, unless this movie is somehow weirder than Neon Demon.
You put Nicolas Cage and Neon Demon in, then it's just a different kind of weird. So I don't know. And that Afghanistan movie was really good, though.
Was it?
That's amazing. You need to see it.
What's it called? The
Army of One.
Army of One. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It was genuinely good, or it was just...
It accomplished what it was going for.
Huh.
So did Mom and Dad. It's just fun. In Army of One, they literally start making the movie about this guy in the movie. So it's that. He takes a hang glider and tries to tear it apart and throw it in his luggage so he can use it when he gets over there. But he cut it in half, so you couldn't really put it back together. It's a fantastic movie. Everybody should see it. And I think you can buy it for like $2 at Family Video. But yeah, then our classic to go along with, I guess, A Simple Favor. But it looks like a kind of a noirish movie. I really don't know what it's about. They're comparing it to like Gone Girl, I guess. But I just picked The Maltese Falcon just because I don't really know what to do, and that's kind of a nice, safe noir movie. And then our top 5 in honor of The Predator is actual best action movies. Maybe it will be. What if this is better than the original Predator? Is that even possible?
Then 1 and 2.
And I'm going to rate reviews of Predator 1 and 2 together, and then a review of Predators as well.
I still haven't seen Predator 2, and I think it's on Netflix too, or something like that.
You can borrow it from me if you like.
We'll have time. That's kind of the issue. I mean,
borrow it without an expectation of immediate return.
All right, but
or just wait till 1990 when it turns 30.
Might have to do that. Yeah, no. This weekend I wasn't able to go to any movies because I was at Ivy Envy's Weekend at the Lake, where I got to meet one of our listeners from the UK, which is kind of fun and unique. He doesn't listen regularly, but he listens after he sees the movies. So then he goes and looks us up, or if he sees a classic we liked. I think his favorite movie or one of them was Brazil, and he asked me what my favorite trilogy was, and I was like, I don't know. And he kept waiting for me because he had an answer in his head ready to stump me with. And because we were talking about The Godfather, I'm like, 1 and 2 are really solid, but 3 is just not a consistent trilogy. It's kind of hard to say that's the best trilogy of all time. I suppose Lord of the Rings is consistent.
It is consistent. I can help you with this if you'd like.
Indiana Jones is no longer a trilogy. Back to the Future 2 and 3 are drop-offs from the first. Star Wars, I guess it's technically 3 trilogies.
The Holy Trinity, yes.
So I just said The Godfather because I couldn't think, and he goes, "What about Toy Story?" I was like, "Yeah, you're probably right." Toy Story and they seem to even get better with every movie almost.
Yeah, but that's going to be a 4th too. So
well, until then. So what's the answer?
Well,
the Holy Trinity.
Yes.
Once Clerks 3 comes out, then you'll have a trilogy.
That's not coming out though.
Oh, it's not?
Freaking Randall.
Oh,
Jeff Anderson
bummer.
backed out.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, he's never officially said that, but everybody else said, "Hey, I want to do this movie." But yeah, that's our show. I do want to thank our Patreon supporters. We'll start with our key grip level and Charlie Messing. Our character actors, Josh and Christina.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Our special effect level, Corey.
May the Force be with you.
Our associate producer, Jason from New Mexico.
Everybody has to eat shaving cream once in a while.
And our movie stars, Dave Severs and Uncle Jeff.
I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
If you want to be a Patreon supporter, head over to ihatecritics.net/Patreon. It's the best way to help support the podcast because it does cost a lot to go to these movies. And I'm going to try really hard to get to at least one. I want to go to 3. I really want to see A Simple Favor. I'm really excited about that movie, especially if it's getting compared to Gone Girl. And if you look at the Rotten Tomato scores on all of these, they're all pretty high. Mandy's got a 98%. I mean, no one's seen it, but Simple Favor's at 86. Predator is kind of low, but it's the Predator. And it's got bad buzz following around some story unrelated to the movie.
Yeah, lots of reshoot type stuff, restructuring, but I trust Shane Black to entertain me.
All right. Well, that is our show. Please go to iTunes, subscribe to the show, rate and review the show, or read your review on the air. And we'll see you next week. Stick around and listen to the flick chart after the credits.
That ought to do it. Thanks very much, Ray.
And we're the 3 best friends that anybody could have. We're the 3 best friends that anyone could have. We're the 3 best friends that anyone can have. And we'll never, ever, 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 ever leave each other. We're the best 3 friends that anybody could have. I mean the 3 best friends that anybody could have. That's right, the 3 best friends that anybody.
The Social Network or Deja Vu?
Social Network.
Indeed.
Yes. Ghost or Little Nicky?
Ghost.
Now that's a ghost movie I can get behind.
He's motivated. We know why he's doing what he's doing.
Right.
Little Nicky might be the worst Adam Sandler movie ever.
Might? I haven't seen. I guess I haven't seen Ridiculous 6, so it's up there.
It's more fun than Little Nicky. Little Nicky, there's a nice little documentary that goes along with the DVD that's way better than the movie because it's got like every rock star in the world talking about rock music. Shrek the Third or Legend, 2015.
What is that?
That's the Tom Hardy gangster movie.
I never saw that one.
Oh, yeah, nobody's that, so go ahead.
Shrek the Third or Scream?
Scream.
Scream.
I agree. The Birds or Minority Report?
Ooh, boy, that's tough. Minority Report.
Agreed.
It's The Birds for me, but I do think at some point one of you are going to have to bring that to the show so I can watch it again. Air Force One or Little Nicky?
Air Force One.
Yeah, somehow Air Force One.
Get off my plane!
Anytime we can get Sean to do that impression. It's like the one impression on the show.
It's the only one I do.
Josh does a couple of Muppet characters.
Classic.
It's not like Harrison Ford is hard.
Oh, the Muppet ones, yeah. I haven't tried
Babe,
it for a while.
Babe or True Lies?
Babe.
Why do you sound so disappointed?
Because I don't. Babe is overrated.
Take my beak from thy heart.
Babe's like the Sound of Music from the 90s. It's Sean's Sound of Music.
God, I'm gonna need a whole army of people to take the
like
knives
Babe.
out of my back.
I
here.
like Babe. I was trying to speak for Sean.
I don't hate it. It's desperately overrated.
Iron Man 2 or A Few Good Men?
A Few Good Men.
Agreed.
Yes. Along Came Polly or The Stuff? We even had The Stuff on here.
Wow. What did that go? Along Came Polly?
I'll go with The Stuff. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I've completely forgotten about The Stuff.
That's the one where there's like the marshmallow goo and everything, and
Did I
Jason
like
from
it?
New
I don't
Mexico.
remember.
You weren't crazy about it, but I found a lot of enjoyment in its campiness.
Although I will be shocked that you like Along Came Polly even a little bit.
Oh, I don't. But I mean, a movie I don't remember versus a movie I kind of like Jennifer Aniston in.
$1 Million Baby or Boondock Saints?
$1 Million
Million Dollar Baby.
True Romance or Superbad?
Oh, that is hard. That is really hard because I mean they're two very different movies, but they're two really good movies. Superbad, just a little bit.
True Romance for me.
It's Superbad for me.
I just think I had when it came down to it, I had to go with which one I'd watch tomorrow. I'd watch Superbad tomorrow.
And it kind of, those guys are slightly younger than me, so it kind of was my era of high school that was pretty, I could relate to that movie other than obviously I didn't hang out with cops and shoot guns at stop signs and stuff. Labyrinth or Angels in the Outfield, 1994?
Labyrinth.
Angels in the Outfield.
God, it's probably Labyrinth, but I do like Angels.
Yeah, that's the only movie they can tell you that Adrian Brody plays shortstop for the Angels.
Josie and the Pussycats or Star Trek First Contact?
Star Trek.
Star Trek First Contact, a very strong film.
Didn't see either. The Hangover or Cinderella 1950?
The Hangover.
Cinderella.
The Hangover. Greatest comedy ever.
Next time I have a top
is
five.
My Predator.
Top 5 real best comedies.
I will admit, though, there was a brief window where I thought that was the case. Red Sonja or Serenity?
Serenity.
Serenity. Red Sonja is terrible.
I Love You Man or Knocked Up?
Knocked Up.
I Love You Man.
Knocked Up. I Love You Man's okay, but I like...
No.
Love You Too, man.
Wonderful. Slap in the bass. I'll never do that again.
Please do. Part of the Weekend at the Lake was somebody was doing that Borat My Wife thing.
My wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a listener from Canada goes, that reminds me of a story. And then he went and told a story that had nothing to do with Borat. And then at the end of the story, he comes back and is like, and we watched the Sacha Baron Cohen thing together. It was just completely unrelated to my wife, but it reminded him of that story.
And at least he got that guy to stop talking. And
he never stopped talking. I don't think he's a listener of our show. So if he is, I apologize. He's a very nice... I mean, he's Canadian. Of course he's nice, but he did like to talk. Tom and Huck or Harold and Kumar go to White Castle.
I don't know Tom and Huck.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas? Come on.
Oh, yeah. And what's the other one? Brad Renfro?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know that one well enough to vote on it? Or?
No.
Okay.
I just happen to know the video jacket on that one, and I would take Harold and Kumar.
I think you would get rid of that one.
Oh, you don't want to pick Harold and Kumar?
I mean, I would pick Harold and Kumar, but I'm picking over a movie I haven't seen or I don't think any of us have seen.
No, but
we know the story.
I've seen Home Improvement. All right, fine. Babe or Harold and Kumar go to White Castle.
Harold and Kumar.
It's Babe.
Babe.
I like Harold and Kumar just fine, but A Monster Calls or Rocky Balboa?
Monster Calls.
Monster Calls.
Yeah, that's hard for me because I really do like Monster Calls, and I thought it was underrated and nobody saw it, and it's not fair to that movie.
Yeah.
But I do like Rocky Balboa a lot. Speed or Open Season?
Speed.
Open Season's that animated thing with Bruce Willis as the voices. Speed.
I think that's Ashton Kutcher, actually. The Bruce Willis one is Over the Hedge.
God, you're right. Oh, there was a period of time there where all these animated films just ran together because I was trying to screen them to see if they were appropriate.
The Open Season was Ashton Kutcher and I think Martin Lawrence, maybe?
Who cares? I guess is the main question. Burn After Reading or Alien versus Predator?
Burn After Reading.
Burn After Reading.
Three Kings or Swordfish?
Three Kings.
Three Kings.
Three Kings mostly. The
Dark... I knew you were going to get that one in there.
The Dark Knight Rises or Hostel?
Oh, Dark Knight Rises, yeah.
Agreed.
I'll go Hostel. Yes Man or The Nightmare Before Christmas?
Yes Man.
Nightmare Before Christmas, but I'm not happy about it.
Yeah, no, there's an overrated movie, but I'll go Nightmare as well. Misery or Corpse Bride?
Corpse Bride is pretty good. Misery, I guess. James Caan is pretty great.
I'll take Misery, even though they cheated us out of like a really great scene from the book by changing it around into something else. I'm like, oh, come on.
I heard It has a weird, like they deviate from the book, but almost make it worse, crazier than the book does, or whatever. Was the second one they're coming out with?
Mayhaps.
But we'll see. I have a hard time believing that happens, though. Signs or Meet the Parents?
Signs.
Signs. Barely.
I guess I'd go Meet the Parents barely. And my wife's texting me nothing good. So Carrie or Babe? Last one.
Carrie.
Babe.
I'll take Carrie because they dumped Babe all over Carrie.